In this video, I will provide an overview of Robert Townsend's book, Up the Organization. Robert Townsend was a man who succeeded in corporate life. He became a director of American Express and then president of Avis, the rental car company. This book was originally written in 1970 and has become a classic in organizations. The book is amusing and still presents relevant topics for today's leaders. In Up the Organization, Townsend mocks many of the sacred cows of corporate life. The book's subtitle is effectively a short summary of its contents: How to Stop the Corporation from Stifling People and Strangling Profits. It is often said that Peter Drucker invented management. If so, Robert Townsend invented leadership. Townsend was the first true modern corporate leader, defined as one who manifests vision, integrity, and courage in a consistent pattern of behavior that inspires trust, motivation, and responsibility on the part of followers, who in turn become leaders themselves. Townsend became a role model for many leaders because they responded to his candor, spontaneity, and integrity. He never engaged in manipulation. He treated everyone as an end, never as a means. And he was free of the hubris that afflicts too many CEOs today. He didn't care what people thought about him personally. What he cared about was creating an organization that was both profitable and an exciting place to work. In a conversation with Bob Davies, co-founder and former CEO of Radica Games, Townsend told him that your job as a leader is to get to the lowest level and find out the tools your people need. Whether it's a shovel or a computer, you've got to find out what they need in order to get the job done. The most important currency of leadership is time. If you commit your time to your people and create an atmosphere and perception of fairness, you will earn their respect, and your organization will achieve results far beyond anyone's expectations. Encouragement is important, but any attempt at external motivation is negative. If you don't screw up, your employees will motivate themselves. That's their job. You may be asking, what is this book? Well, it's a survival manual for the corporate gorillas. It's about institutions and how they ought to conduct themselves. It is organized in alphabetical order. Topics range from advertising to wearing out your welcome. Some of the topics may seem dated, but if you read them closely, their content still applies today. So here are some of the topics that I found most helpful or interesting. Advertising. Townsend believes that you should fire the whole advertising department and your old ad agency. Then, go get the best new agency you can. Concentrate your efforts on making it fun for them to create candid, effective advertising for you. Call yourself up. Next time you go out of town, pretend you're a customer, call in, and talk to the people that answer the phones. You'll be amazed at what you find out. You may also be horrified. But remember, don't blow up and ask for name, file, rank, and serial number. You're trying to correct, not punish. A good manager doesn't try to eliminate conflict. He tries to keep it from wasting the energies of his people. If you're the boss and your people fight you openly when they think that you're wrong, that's okay. That's healthy. If your men or women fight each other openly in your presence for what they believe in, that's okay. That's healthy. Bottom line is, make sure that all the conflict is kept eyeball to eyeball. It's okay if people disagree, but there should be a resolution on the other end of it. If two departments can agree and they bring it to you, make a decision and stand by that decision. Decisions. All decisions should be made at the lowest point possible in the organization. Townsend believes that there are two types of decisions: those that are expensive to change and those that are not. If you delegate authority to those below you to make the decision, it's important for them as they grow. It also produces accountability and places authority where it truly belongs. Fairness and justice. These are two essential qualities that most companies don't have but should have. Everyone should be judged on his performance, not on his looks or his manners or personality or who he's related to, but truly on his performance. Make sure you reward outstanding performance, and make sure underachievers don't get rewarded. This is often a painful experience, but it really should happen more often than it does. Create a system that's fair. Meetings. The fewer the better, both in number and in number of participants. There are 3 types of useful meetings. The first are weekly staff meetings. These should be for information purposes, not problem solving. Everyone should be included. It should be the same time and same place, week after week. Make sure that minutes are taken and distributed throughout the company. And every 6 months, prepare a secret ballot, asking the question, do we need a weekly staff meeting? The second kind is the problem or opportunity focused meeting. So these shouldn't happen more than a couple times a year. And when they do happen, they should become a series of meetings called for by the manager. The third is that if you have a meeting, you probably should have a second meeting. Not just because you want to have a second meeting, but usually if it's worth having a meeting the first time, it's usually prudent to have a second meeting to go over what you discussed in the first meeting, to make sure everyone's on board, to make sure that any unanswered questions or thought of questions that happened after the meeting are answered and are addressed in a timely fashion. No-nos. He gives 16 different tips as far as what should be considered no-nos for the corporate life and the CEO. Some of them are pretty dated, but there's still some of them that are relevant, such as reserved parking spots, bells and buzzers, outside directorship and trusteeships for CEOs, a company plane, time-consuming reports. Remember that you shouldn't con anybody. Most often, don't con yourself. In social relations within the firm, it's okay to socialize with your peers, but don't socialize with those that report to you. Hiring, don't hire anyone until everybody's overworked. That way the new person is accepted. And finally, greed. People. So this is really where Townsend believes that we should begin interacting with this book. People are key to our organization and key to how our organization runs. With that, he basically brings back to life Theory X and Theory Y from Douglas McGregor. Theory X is considered the old world working model and basically says that people hate to work. They have to be driven and threatened with punishment to get them to move towards organizational objectives. They like security. They're not ambitious. They want to be told what to do. They dislike responsibility. In Theory Y, which is more like present-day circumstances, Townsend basically says that people are using 1/5 of their capacity. So it's not the fact that people don't like work. It's often to them as natural as rest or play. They don't have to be forced to be threatened to work. If they commit themselves to mutual objectives, they'll drive themselves more effectively than you can drive them. But they'll commit themselves only to the extent that they can see ways of satisfying their ego and developmental needs. He makes a couple of points in regards to Theory X and Theory Y. Basically, why spend money and time on the selection of people when the people you've got are breaking down from underuse? And this really relates to how well do you know your people. So make sure that you understand what your people do well, what they enjoy doing, what their weaknesses and strengths are, and what they want to get from their job, and what they need from their job. If you're able to find out those things, then you should be able to create an organization that's designed around your people and create a climate in which most people will motivate themselves to help the company reach its objectives. Retirement. Basically, Townsend says nobody should be CEO for more than 5 or 6 years. At the end of that time, the retirees become stale, bored, and utterly dependent on his or her own cliches. And if your CEO doesn't want to retire gracefully after 5 or 6 years, then kick him out. Make time for what matters. Townsend has 3 thoughts on it. 1, small companies should be fun. 2, new people need time to earn their place on a team, and as well as new systems need time to shake down. And 3, some meetings should be long and leisurely. Others should be mercifully brief. The only way to train somebody is on the job. It helps them build relationships, and it also helps them get in the habit of growing personally and professionally. Don't show favoritism. You'll stop healthy competition. Townsend provides a 3rd degree in leadership for us. He provides leadership lessons. The first one is to hell with the centralized strategic planning. If you don't have a good leader, it's all nothing. It's just a bunch of papers flying around. The second is don't be that boss. The one that takes credit for everything that is done right and blames everyone else for everything that goes wrong. Make sure you listen. It's often what a leader does best. And finally, he provides us characteristics of a leader. They're not a corporate politician. Their personal ambitions are under control. They are visible or available to their people. They're good listeners, decisive. They see the best in their people. They're simplistic, persistent, fair, have a sense of humor, have humility, and stay on the program. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. This is a very brief overview of what the book was about. I highly encourage you to read it. It is well worth the read. It won't take you that long to read. Thanks again. Have a great day.